Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. It's always a pleasure to have you join us on the show. And a big thank you to all those who take out time to send us feedback and messages through our social media platforms. Today we'll be showing you the concluding part of our conversation with Mazi Sam Ohuabua, the author of Wired to Lead. Also coming up on the show today is a peep into the world of the visually challenged as far as books and reading are concerned. But before then, in the last two episodes of this show, we have explored traditional and e-publishing. We looked at what each one means and their pros and cons. But we have been asked by some of you, our viewers, to dig in a bit more and explain in practical terms how a writer can get a publisher. Okay, now in some cases, especially in the West, a writer can engage or be engaged by a publisher from the very beginning, even before the book is written. A publisher can come up with a subject and approach the writer to consider signing a deal to publish the book. But this usually happens only when celebrities or subject matter experts are involved. Publishers like to publish books they are sure will sell. And big names, as you know, often sell. At times, publishers hire or appoint ghostwriters to work with the author who is a big name person or celebrity, if he or she lacks the time or the skill set to write. Now, where a publisher does not approach you, you can search for one to publish your already written manuscript. So scenario one, a publisher looks for somebody with a big name, somebody who can address an important subject, approaches that person to write and publish that particular book. Now, the second scenario is where you have written your own book, you have your own manuscript, and you actually go out there to look for a publisher. Where a publisher does not approach you, you can search for one to publish your already written manuscript. In such instances, you take your manuscript around to potential publishers and try to convince them to give you a publishing contract. You can do this yourself, but the industry practice in many parts of the world is to use a book agent to sell your book idea to publishers. In Nigeria, some publishers have periods when they receive and check entries from writers that could possibly be published. Some of the publishers can accept your manuscripts through their websites. If you conduct a Google search or just ask around, you will come up with a short list of publishers who could be keen on checking out your manuscript. Many people call us to ask, I need a publisher for my book. We just simply ask them, just go on the internet and Google publishers in Nigeria, or we can suggest a few to them at times. But be warned, again, getting a traditional publisher is never guaranteed, and the experience of trying to get a publisher for your book can be traumatic at times due to rejections. But never be discouraged. Keep trying. You might strike gold after many rejections. Remember, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, one of the most successful books ever written, authored by J.K. Rowling, was rejected 12 times before an editor accepted to publish the book. Prior to then, J.K. Rowling was advised to go and get a day job because she had little chance of making money in children's books. Can you believe that? And then even though Margaret Mitchell's Gone with the Wind, you have probably heard of that very famous book, even though it was rejected 38 times before it won the Pulitzer Prize and then sold over 30 million copies. We can go on and on. Well, I hope this has been helpful. There's more to explore in the coming episode, so you may want to look out for that. Now, some of the most courageous and inspiring people in the world are the blind. Imagine not being able to see. Can anything be more challenging? Yet, you see people who are visually challenged go on with life. They keep their heads up and do the things people with sight engage in, including reading. Yes, reading. No matter the book out there, a blind person can read it if it is converted to what we call Braille. Now, if you've ever wondered, how can a blind person read? Do blind people read? Yes, they do. Braille is a form of written language for blind people in which characters are represented by patterns of raised dots that are felt with the fingertips. Once a book is converted to Braille, it has been converted to a language or text, quote and unquote, that a blind person can read. Now, this is an example of a Braille material book here with me. I know the books you are used to, so this will look pretty strange. I can bet that. Okay, but this is a mathematics book. Can you believe that? Do you see any figures here? This is a general mathematics book, volumes 1 to 3. Okay, but it is Braille. So if you look very closely, you will see there dots. Unfortunately, in Nigeria, very little attention is paid to the blind by both publishers and the government. Not much is invested in ensuring the production of Braille versions of books like this, thereby denying people who are blind access to books. We visited the Anglo-Nigerian Welfare Association for the Blind at Yaba, Lagos, to check out how they produce Braille books, and we had an interesting experience with them. Enjoy this. According to the International Agency for the Prevention of Blindness, around 36 million people are blind globally. A 2014 WHO estimate puts the number at about 39 million. An International Center for Eye Health survey puts the number of blind people in Nigeria who are age 40 and above at about 1.13 million. A Federal Ministry of Health report states that there are about 4.1 million blind people in Nigeria, with about 1.1 million being totally blind. These are staggering figures. As one might guess, a major challenge for the blind, young or old, is access to reading materials. Braille is the key. It is what blind people read. Braille is not a language. It is a code by which all languages may be written and read. Through the use of Braille, people who are blind are able to review and study the written word. It provides a vehicle for literacy for the visually impaired. The Anglo-Nigerian Welfare Association for the Blind, ANWAB, is an organization dedicated to helping blind people gain independence through education. In line with this, the organization converts regular books into Braille versions for the blind. Gbemisola Folalu is the Braille computer editor at ANWAB. Folalu's partner is Sheriff Olatunji, who is blind. He is the embosser operator.
I got my visual impairments at age 11, and I attended the blind school in Surulere as my primary school, as I am partially school for the blind. From there, I moved on to study in King's College. I graduated in 2006. Currently, I'm on distance learning program from University of Ibadan in my final year now, and I'm married with a kid, and I work with an ANWAB. We produce Braille books for our other visually impaired scholars.
Sharif is glad that technological advancements are helping to improve access to books for the blind.
With the level we are now, we should even be thanking God that the technology has made us advance to this level. Formerly, there was nothing like that. We had to wait for people who will read to us from their printed texts, and that alone is challenging, because as human beings, we may be taking their time. They may not have enough time for us. So with the advancement of technology, we are able to get the book scanned through the computer and then braille it out. But what we need to work on now, or what we are expecting, is that the technology should be more advanced in such a way that within the twinkle of an eye, our books are already in Braille. So that's the level we are looking at now.
Gbemisola Folalu takes us through the process of converting a regular book type to Braille. The book to be converted today is an iconic one, Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart.
There's a software called Omnipage. So we scan each book pages by pages. No matter how big the book is, we scan pages by pages, and we recognize only the text, not the pictures. So after scanning, we recognize the text, and we move it to Microsoft Word. So for Microsoft Word, we do the necessary editing, like the heading, the paginating from the Microsoft Word. So after the Microsoft Word, we convert to a software called Dolby Braille Translator, DBT. So from here, we also do the necessary adjustments before sending to the embosser, the Braille embosser.
Sheriff operates the embosser that has received the converted Things Fall Apart soft copy.
I'm about to send it to Mr. Sheriff Olatunji to emboss it.
Okay, ready. Men, play. One. Counter payment.
After embossing, the embosser operator reads to be sure he has the right book, an experience he enjoys.
Things Fall Apart, Chapter 3. Okonkwo did not have the starts in life which many young men usually had. He did not inherit a band from his father. There was no band to inherit. The story was told in Umuofia of how his father, Unoka, had gone to consult the oracle of the hills and the caves. No one had ever beheld Agbala except his priestess, but no one who had ever crawled into his awful shrine had come out without the fear of his power.
For those who have never seen someone blind reading with Braille, the first-time experience is almost surreal.
She was full of the power of our God, and she was greatly fed. Unoka stood before her and began his story.
With the book converted to Braille, blind people can have access to it and enjoy reading just as much as anyone else. To everyone directly involved in the creation and publishing of books, we encourage you to please think of the blind. Let's make books accessible to them. let's invest in the production and publishing of Braille reading materials. Blind people all over the world do great things. They can be productive, they can add value to society, they can do so many things, particularly when they are educated. And the way to go about that is to ensure that there are materials available to them. They should have easy access to reading materials. Now, last week, we started an interview with Mazi Sam Ohuabunwa, a business leader, entrepreneur, columnist, and author, who has spent about 40 years in the pharmaceutical industry, rising from the rank and file level to becoming an iconic figure in the industry. He joined us to discuss his book, Wired to Lead, which contains life lessons he learned from many years of leading different organizations. We promise to show you the concluding part of that conversation. Here it is. You wrote here that you for many years, you worked at least 12 hours a day.
I still work at least 12 hours
till now.
Till last night.
A lot of young people have this vision when they are 70, they'll be on the beachside in Caribbean, leg crossed, retired, just sipping juice or wine or something.
Sorry. The point is that I've not postponed anything in my life. That's where I am. Pay as you go. As I'm living, as I'm working, I'm living. As I'm working, I'm enjoying. As I'm stressing, I'm enjoying. I'm not for, let's finish work. Then no, I like to take everything along. My friends know, we work hard. When it's time, we put down our ties, go have fun, have a few.
You do have fun?
Yeah, I do. I sure do.
You said that for the past 30 years, you've flown at least once a week.
Yeah.
From your base to somewhere else,
yes,
by plane?
By aeroplane, yes.
For 30 years?
For 30
every
years.
week?
Every week, except from March 22nd to today.
Because of the virus?
Because of the lockdown. That's a change.
That's a lot of work.
It is. It is. Of course, it takes a toll on you, but you see, the human body is adjustable. And if you are like me, that is highly amenable to situation, I'm so conditioned that I can live anywhere, in any circumstance. Like Paul said, I can live in self-sufficiency, I can live in deprivation, and it doesn't make much difference to me. That's not what I'm too used to. Did I give up cigarettes? People didn't believe, just I took a decision. Did I give up coffee? I can give up anything. Nothing is impossible for me to deal with, So I'm not hung on anything. So I can live and adapt myself the way I find things. The important thing is to be able to achieve my goal. Paul said, when I meet a Greek, I try to be a Greek. If I meet a Gentile, I try to, if only I can win him for Christ. So that's the kind of, when I'm driving, my goal is made. I'm not going to compromise my faith or my principles, but I always have a way of drawing you to see my side. Okay. At least give me your cooperation to get to where I'm going.
Yeah. You wrote in chapter 12, eliminate lack.
Yeah.
Have multiple streams
of income.
You've tried to do that over the years.
Yes, I have. And for me, I do recommend that to everybody who is working today. If you want your life to be good, because I have also looked at what is the causative issues regarding corruption, the endemicity of corruption in Nigeria. There are many factors, but one of them is lack. Lack. The average working Nigerian cannot balance budget. His take-home pay can't take him home. The average person. And therefore, when temptations come, when trials come, he easily falls for it. Because I know some people who are struggling. I don't want to do this. But then they remember the nagging last night from their wife, or the children who were crying this morning, they couldn't go to school. So he just says, God, well, forgive me. And then he takes what he shouldn't take. But if he is sure that some money is going to come from his dividend, Resta Express is soon going to pay, this company will soon pay, my rent will soon come. So he just said, look, that problem, hold on. In another 1 week or 2 weeks, I'll sort you. And so you can then be able to resist. That's one major factor. Because this issue of discussing corruption and superficial, I've said Nigeria is not ready yet to fight corruption. If we were, they will go fundamental. First is to look at how Nigerians are paid, how they are rewarded, and how they are taken care. A Nigerian that pays every bill, he pays for water, he pays for electricity, he pays for security, he pays for road, he pays tax, he dies, he pays, he's alive, he pays. Tell me how he will get the money. Nobody will relieving you of anything. In the developed countries who want to be like, there are a lot of social safety nets.
Yeah.
Here, none. So that is driving corruption. So we must look at corruption. This is my own antidote.
Yeah.
And multiple stream of income. Many of them will be silent. They're not active. They're not actively involved. I'm not saying keep moonlighting or leave your job and be doing. No, you have a primary responsibility. But a guy has 24 hours a week, a day. And you can do a lot more after the 8 hours have been officially given.
Wow, Mazi, so many things here. Plan every move. I was going to ask you, do you play chess?
No, I don't.
You should.
I don't.
You move like a chess player.
I don't, but I understand the principles and I apply them in my work.
Plan every move. That's chapter 3. Chapter 4, no substitute for hard work, which we spoke about.
Yeah.
Chapter 5, don't assume. Negotiate everything. I wish we had time. I would have wanted you to talk about this because,
it's a major issue.
I get beaten in negotiations a lot.
It's a major issue. It hurts me a lot as I was growing. Because I'm so trusting. So I just believe you do the right for both of us. But I found that
in reality, it doesn't
this
work
story
that way.
of win-win is, whenever I tell it's win-win, it just says, I have won and you've lost. Don't believe anybody tell you win-win.
Ask questions before jumping into business relationship. That is key, very key. There is enough time to do all the important things. Managing it is the challenge.
Yes,
for those people who always say yes, 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 yes to everything. Yes, yes, yes. The best investment ever is in human beings. That's true.
Correct.
That's true. Very true.
Correct.
Chapter 9, integrity is a bankable asset. Then, effective marketing solves most business problems. This is a book every young person should read.
That's correct. In fact, I'm finding that many people are buying, after they get the copy of the book, they buy for their children.
Yeah.
People are buying, sorry to mention her name, but Dr. Coley, Stella Coley, just bought 1,000 copies to donate to young pharmacists.
Oh, wow.
He said young pharmacists must hear this.
It is true. It is true. It's loaded. Chapter 17, if you want the true story told about you, write it yourself. Here you were basically encouraging people writing their memoirs.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it is. Because I have experience, both your memoir and in a country like ours, first of all, we're all tarnished. If you come from a country that is corrupt, you are a corrupt person, charged before even convicted before you are even charged. So you must try and see what you can do anytime you're involved in anything that involves trust. Like I use the short P as a test here. You must state your fact. Because people are going to, for any reason, undermine what you have done. So it's good.
Mazi, we're out of time.
All right, it's okay.
Thank you very much for joining us on Channels Book Club.
Thank you.
And thanks for all these very rich lessons
Thank you so
you've
much.
shared from your personal experiences.
My pleasure.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you have had a good time with us today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. I'm Olakunle Kasumo. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.